Hey Henry, Live View 3, I got a presser that I'm gonna be doing. Yeah, channel 1, mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, can you hear me? How does it sound? Sound okay? Good enough? Good. All right. Thank you. Bye. Okay, just to give you a heads up. All right, bye. Okay, bye. While we're waiting for other people to show up.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. You want me to use yeah, it's pretty cool. You want me to use a deep voice, or do you want me to do something a little more quiet in case he decides to be quiet today? You know.
I don't know, just let me know more.
Or you know how some speakers start loud and then all of a sudden they just get really quiet and then you can't really hear them.
Wow.
Anymore.
That sounds good. That sounds
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi. Well, let me see how I haven't seen you in a while. Yeah. We didn't have a quick ride, just has
Yeah,
one.
go ahead.
That's good.
I don't think we're trying to go with just a lot of rest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
they
easy.
didn't say for walking the youth, they just said do so.
Okay, good, because I hate
I love it.
Trying to follow them out.
well, no, it's one thing to get photo bomber.
Oh, oh yeah.
Yes, and I'm always like, I know, I'm gonna do a photo bomb in my own shop.
Just remember when you took basketball in high school, you gotta box them out.
No, exactly, you do have to, I know, I was like, just get in there, I'm like, Mom, I don't want a photo bomb, I don't want.
Of course, the last question of the week is the
The holding ice, was that it? But where is that in the legislature now?
it has to be signed by Brett Allison.
So it's passed?
Yep.
It's weird that we haven't done like a full package on that yet. We haven't, no, we just mentioned, I don't think anyone's, I don't know why, because we've been covering this, well, I've been covering stuff before.
Oh, more people showed up? All right.
Right here.
We made it. I didn't say hi, did I? I'm sorry. No, you did. I did. I said I did.
Oh, I'll take it down.
You got the hoodie.
Thank you.
You all right? Good. It's in the AC, so I'm not.
I know, were you there earlier?
Yes.
Oh goodness, Axel told us he
Oh,
was
dude,
like dying.
it was hard.
So, it's crazy, and it was like an hour?
Oh, yeah, so I got there early to get a spot.
Yeah.
No.
So I got there like at 11, didn't start until like 12, and then they wait on for an hour, so you're talking over 2 hours just in the sun.
Ouch.
Rough.
And I told them, like, hey guys, I know you guys want to set up right here. Why don't we all set up in the shade and we can
Yeah.
point it a different direction? I might not have your back up. Oh, we can point it this way. You're gonna have all these people in the back. And they're like, oh no, we're just gonna do it right here.
Yeah.
And let them set up.
Hey, well, there's no reason.
That's
It's like, it was a win-win for everyone. We could do it all been fun in the shade. I would have kept my head down. I tried. Hey, who knew the whole situation, how it kind of went down when you got, I guess you got hit or tackled?
I wouldn't surprise if she did it herself.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I just got my-
Did anybody get it on video?
I got my camera, like when I saw him like kind of yelling at her, I went and I put my camera over there. But his
She just
phone and
finished
everything
reading.
was, the phone was down, everything was down. Like he dropped everything, he was picking it up and he looked a little nervous trying to like crawl. I think he's coming out.
Probably
I'm like,
shocked,
"You're-
like,
you're-"
Damn.
I mean, you're by yourself, but he's.
Oh, sure, thank you.
It's like the opposite was, if it was the other way around, oh, for sure, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Just don't be there, man, like anymore.
Yeah,
But, you know, people have to
he
be
wants to.
freedom of press, he wants, he thinks he's a, no.
He's one of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he probably has a following.
You guys, I found Twitter
Oh,
profile,
he
and I
does.
just profile, and got like people that tweet and they're responsive, and they're just the same dudes that are like, that all this bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, reading like those remarks. Okay, done it. I mean, I'm just gonna stay with it.
It's like the thing.
Just don't touch it, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And it's true, like, when, at the point when they just get, are like racist, it's like, you're not giving them a platform, like, you're out of your breath. Like, you didn't really understand it, no. How would they take it? 'Cause I mean, I worked in Alabama, like, they were around everywhere, and like,
Oh, yeah, I bet.
and like, people would send us stuff, like, he's covering like some playoffs, it's like, we're not gonna cover it, so we're not gonna give him a platform.
That's what you do, then guess what?
That's what they want.
Yeah.
Now, it killed someone.
Oh, well, yeah, just,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. You got it.
And it's
But,
like,
yeah. But I mean, I've been reaching out to, I love this talk. Anytime, any day, I'm like, oh, it's not good, he's my ability to speak. Okay.
Then people reply.
Yeah, I was like, okay, next week.
you can just listen to Sheriff now. Are we missing anything else now?
I feel like there's usually a few more cameras here, but.
Is Univision? What? Is it just Univision?
Yeah. Can you do something else?
Oh, yeah, it's right here, I'm sorry. Not the ladies of the year.
Right.
Four is both. And then us, like, yeah, just need to check. So it was like either rest or something? Sorry,
Something about organized.
so it said like Kirkland?
They said multiple.
Organized.
Let me see.
I heard either rest.
Maybe.
Eight just sounds like a good round number. Let's see. Multiple arrests made early this morning in relation to an ongoing organized crime
Hopefully
investigation.
they should video of us.
Yeah, they normally do, they're pretty good at that.
Yeah, I get it when you do that.
I was gonna ask you, maybe you will do with that, because I think they're gonna put something on our screen, so if we all can, like, just so we can. Not too much, I mean, there we go, I can see it now, just so we're all, there you go. It wasn't too much, just a little bit. Because they always do that where they start playing something good for us. Thank you.
So these are going to sign SVP law. That's what I'm gonna,
Oh, that's your story?
no, I covered that.
What is this, Peter?
The THC ban.
Oh, of course it's in the second.
Test, test.
I'm about to hit 20 years, so let's go get another 20 years.
In my company in, when at the station I work in Alabama, it's Alameda, and they.
Test, test.
Pretty bad, huh? You know who was like that? Fox. When I worked at Fox in Austin. Right there. Because I would have said half of the people that live in Austin. I mean, maybe, I was like, I was 21 at the time, so I'm used to that. Different version of me. That's a fun. It's fun to do stuff. Now it's like, dad. I'm dad. It's like, yeah, you're not cool, dad. I'm like, nah, you should. You can see me from like the drink. My daughter's in that, so yeah, makes you president. Oh, no, yeah, for sure. I still made her give me a kiss. Like, hey, give me a kiss. Give me a kiss, you're like, no, she already tells me she hates me. Well, it is what it is. Who's that? Who's that right there?
Oh, that's my son.
Oh,
He's a little older now, but my daughter messes with my phone and likes to put different photos on.
oh, she does?
Yeah.
How old is she?
She's 8.
Oh my gosh, she's already get out. Look.
Wow. Is that the one? How was this?
This is just,
This is recent. No.
11?
11. Oh, okay. Wow, that's crazy.
The most recent one.
Congratulations. So she graduated from.
To go to 6th grade.
Oh, okay, promoted. Right?
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
She-
She does look so grown.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, does her screen shaver?
Shaver?
Shaver.
Yeah, hold up.
I was saying something earlier. I
Yeah.
mispronounced something earlier too.
Actually,
We had this event over the weekend. My son, he's throwing a thumbs up at the camera, and then all of a sudden he takes a minute to do this.
ah,
Gives it a thumbs down. I'm like, hey.
I'm only at the point of,
I think it was
I have a third baby, it's not intimidating, so.
Which one is
Is that your oldest?
yeah, my next daughter is 8 years old.
She's a mix.
She is, I know.
She is an
But
exact
it's,
mix of y'all two.
My daughter was over there dancing up on the.
That's exciting.
I only got one.
I didn't get good
One of
photos.
them.
I have other
That's my
photos.
wife said.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the one.
I get it. It is a compliment.
There she is.
Actually, I want twins, and then,
I'm not mad at it.
then I think,
No, either one.
Where's my daughter?
my mom was a twin, so I have the gene.
That's not. What are the medals for?
So, I think it was like AR roll. And she got second place in UIL for listening or, I forgot what it was. I think it was like listening or reading, I forgot what it was.
That's really good.
I was like, I had no idea she even do it.
Right.
She didn't want to participate actually, and the counselor went to the classroom and said, okay, I need you. So we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Is it hot, cold?
no,
On top of our.
¿Le dijiste eso a John? I mean, they do everyone. Hey, and then you're like, okay.
But yeah, so I was thinking like more than us like in the beginning, because I remember being telling y'all on top of it. But now, you should do it ever so.
I think what they're doing with those is asesino shady.
Which I don't, which
Because the whole
looks like the logo, but
No,
not
we
high
should-
interest.
Let's do those. Don't do all.
Yeah,
Just
it's
to do those.
like oversaturated, you
Yeah.
want to know.
Yeah.
I know.
But they-
¿Cuál es? Check, 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 check. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, 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 hello. Mic check, mic check.
Sí, ya está.
Now,
Ya les
honestly,
dije. Ya estoy en
some
la-
of us just get away with not doing it.
That's nice thing. But you can't be just fast. No, no, ¿quieres un beso?
The main vein.
You see that to all your neighbors. You see that to Gene all the time.
Pues esta me da pipa.
Where's Gene? I haven't seen Gene.
He's checking out a police.
We always see him. Normally I was always like, I'm always what, the third one to show up? Second, third. Maybe it's gonna show up. Is that the body over there? Oh, God, you get it later. No, I cannot sell that. It's what happens when you've been here 20 years, right?
When did we get this? Is Casey here? Okay, well,
Yeah, you're waiting. Don't worry about it. So you call me, you're like, hey, you're almost here.
no more cierto.
You're like, yeah, I'm about to, I'm just ordering something, do you want something? I'm ordering it. I get you some tea, you want? They're like, no. I'll be there soon. As soon as I can hear. Tea, they have been, but they'll do it the other way around too, where if it's not us, it's somebody else. It's like here, they always do it, and then everybody's here. They will do it for everybody. It was hot out there. I told them, but then, put it in the shade, put everybody in the shade.
That's the first time that I mean, a long time, but I just, piercing the t-shirt, and it was not good.
I lost the towel.
Yeah.
I lost my towel, I had an extra towel.
Like woman, the one on his
All that sound that no one uses.
Cesar Chavez or Jaime.
And now we got the new baby.
You always see that, he's the other narrator, like, yeah. And it's like, hey, you over there? You okay? Yeah. Did you see me get attacked? And I was like, I didn't see it, I heard it, I thought somebody like passed out on the feet, you know? But it looked like the guys made it look like they tripped accident on, oh no, they're coming by the ship, they're coming by. That's all I see. Because he was the one that was saying, sometimes you gotta have the TV on the top when you exit. And I was like, that's crazy, man. So I was like, and it's right at your,
I know.
yeah. So they get a clear shot out of you. I was like, ooh, I don't know what to do on my contacts.
Right.
Took some extra icy from them. I was like, ah. I took that extra cup. I kept that cup in my car. $29.
I was never researching that. I guess I'm a
Nice.
Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Wanted to give you all an update on a case that's been unfolding for the past several weeks, but this morning it culminated in the arrest of 4 people in the outside world, 4 inmates that are currently incarcerated in the Bexar County Jail that'll be receiving add-on charges, what we call add-on charges. And then also going to be giving you information on 3 now former deputies that have been terminated in connection with this case. But let me start from the beginning. So, back in April of this year, we actually made a seizure of drugs within the Bexar County Jail in Unit CE. Our contraband abatement team, our CAT team, during a cell search, actually found 105 grams of methamphetamine, 69 grams of marijuana, 10 Xanax tablets, and then an unknown brown waxy substance. In addition, I believe there was also some vape pens that were seized during that operation. We did develop information on 2 inmates that were involved in the possession of those narcotics on that day. But however, those inmates have not yet been charged. They are currently being housed at another jail. They were moved out, and we are in the process of filing those charges additionally. We will give you that information when we are able. But at present, those inmates are no longer here within the jail. But we did begin the investigation at that point, being that is such a substantial amount of drugs to be found in any one place, much less in a jail, even more so in a jail, I should say. It prompted us to get our organized crime group involved. So our organized crime group, working in conjunction with our contraband abatement team, our intelligence unit, as well as our public integrity unit, the 4 units began working together pretty well. They were able to develop an informant that was able to get us enough information on the 4 additional inmates that you'll see that are in the process of having additional charges brought upon them. And during the course of this ongoing investigation, that informant was able to get one of our undercover investigators introduced to the investigation. And this past weekend, that undercover deputy, acting in an undercover capacity, of course, began brokering a deal to introduce narcotics into the jail. The deputy Friday, met with one of our suspects in the case, Joanne Garcia, who you saw on the previous slide. Actually met with Joanne Garcia in the 1100 block of Menchaca, and the controlled substance was delivered to that undercover investigator. That narcotics that was delivered to the to the undercover investigator was, I believe, to be 49 grams of methamphetamine, along with other additional items of contraband, namely cigarettes and vape, things of that nature. Regardless, that narcotics never made it into the jail because it was an undercover operative, an undercover detective that she was dealing with. Over the course of the weekend, we then began more definitively identifying the people that led us to not just these 4, but additionally the information on the 4 inmates that you also saw. So yesterday, a total of 17 arrest warrants were drafted up for these total of 8 bodies that were the arrest warrants were applied for, and the warrants were all executed this morning. The deputies our organized crime unit deputies were able to take into custody all 4 of those suspects, the civilians that were mentioned earlier, without incident at various locations throughout the city of San Antonio. And then these 4 suspects, our inmates, as it were, are in the process of having charges added on to what they're already here for. I do have information on what they were already incarcerated with us for. It's a long list, so I will give those to you if you'd care to know, but we can certainly send that to you after the fact as well. Additionally, pursuant to this case, we've had 3 deputies that are no longer here employed with the sheriff's office. Khrushchev Mayweather, 39 years of age. He was actually handed a probationary dismissal back in early May pursuant to this. Additionally, next slide, Juan Diego Avina, 22 years of age. He was just terminated earlier today for a certain level of involvement in this case as well. Also a probationary dismissal. And then the third, Jesse Pollard Plata, 23 years of age. He actually chose to resign in lieu of the termination that was being contemplated on him. Now, with regard to these three deputies, you all, I'm sure, will have the same question I have, or had, was why are we not arresting these three now former deputies? Well, at present, we were not able to prove up, to this point in the investigation, we have not yet been able to substantiate criminal conduct on the part of these three deputies as far as having the evidence to proceed with criminal charges. But we did have enough with regard to policy violations. And so that's what led us to, look, let's cut our losses with these three, let's get them out of here. And so they were handed their termination paperwork as soon as we were able to. But the investigation is ongoing. I'm going to be quite frank with you. If it were up to me, we would be arresting these three folks as soon as tonight or tomorrow. But being that we have to continue to develop this information and try to get to that point, as soon as we are able to get to that point, I can assure you we'll be calling another press conference letting you know that a now former deputy, or three, if I have it my way, are now facing criminal charges. And so, that's where we are with the status of this investigation at present. Esta mañana nosotros arrestamos 8 personas, 4 civiles que están fuera de nuestra custodia, o estaban fuera de nuestra custodia. Ellos fueron arrestados esta mañana por nuestra unidad de crimen organizada. También tenemos 4 prisioneros que están bajo nuestra custodia, que ellos que se están enfrentando con cargos adicionales, aparte de lo que ellos ya estaban aquí bajo nuestra custodia. Este caso empezó el día 28 de abril, donde nosotros encontramos más que 100 gramos de metanfetamina dentro de la cárcel. 2 reos fueron arrestados, 2 reos se están enfrentando con cargos por estar en posesión de esas drogas, pero de ahí empezó nuestra investigación. Varias unidades de la agencia empezaron a trabajar en conjunto en este caso, y ellos lograron agarrar información, lograron agarrar un informante que sí nos dio información tocante cuáles reos estaban involucrados en esta operación, trayendo drogas dentro de la cárcel. Uno de nuestros oficiales, trabajando encubierto, logró hablar con uno de estos sospechosos, y él el viernes se encontró con Joanne García. Ella le entregó drogas, metanfetaminas, para entrar a la cárcel. Obviamente ella no sabía que la persona que ella estaba entregando esas drogas era uno de nuestros oficiales trabajando encubierto. Entonces ya de ahí empezamos a preparar las órdenes de arresto. Anoche nosotros aplicamos por 17 diferentes cargos, órdenes de arresto por 17 órdenes de arresto por estos 8 sospechosos, o sea, los 4 civiles y los 4 que ya estaban aquí de prisioneros. Esta mañana ejecutamos las órdenes de arresto contra los 4 civiles, y luego ahorita en estos momentos los 4 reos se están enfrentando con otros cargos adicionales. También les hemos dado despedida a varios de nuestros oficiales a causa de este caso. 2 de ellos les dimos la despedida, uno de ellos en el día 9 de mayo y otro este día, o hace unos cuantos momentos que le dimos la despedida a ese oficial. Pero también hay otro oficial que él renunció su trabajo en vez de ser terminado. Entonces a ese le dimos noticia que teníamos el intento de darle la despedida, pero él renunció su trabajo. Ahora, estos 3 ex oficiales, es posible que se vayan a enfrentar con otros cargos adicionales, aunque ahorita todavía no tenemos suficiente evidencia para involucrarlos en este caso criminalmente. Sí tenemos bastante evidencia que ellos sí cometieron infracciones de póliza. Entonces, aunque vamos a seguir investigando, por ahorita nosotros nos tenemos que conformar con que estos 3 sospechosos ya no trabajan aquí en nuestra agencia. I'll open it up to whatever questions you all might have.
How often do you, how
I'm sorry.
often do you find narcotics in your jail?
Well, it's not something that happens terribly often, but I can tell you one time is more than enough. This should be, under perfect circumstances, a sterile environment. There should be no forms of contraband here. Now, with that being said, run-of-the-mill contraband that's normally found in a jail setting, tattoo rigs that are makeshift tattoo rigs, or they will take light fixtures apart and use the parts from there to make other forms, sometimes weapons. So it's certainly not unheard of to find other forms of contraband. That's why we formed the contraband abatement team many years ago. And these are deputies that are specially trained to interdict items that have found their way. Now, when they began that cell search that day, they were not expecting to find narcotics at all, much less such a large amount of narcotics. But they did a great job that day finding this stuff, which, as you know, in anywhere, right? Drugs can certainly lead to somebody's death, but certainly in a jail setting, you can see where that would become problematic to the point where it could absolutely cause somebody's death. So while it doesn't happen often, it does happen often enough, and we have to be on the lookout often enough to where we have specialized teams that's their job, is to go forth and find things like that. And again, that's what kicked this whole thing off, was just a good heads-up contraband abatement team, our CAT team, finding these drugs and then knowing what to do and how to get the ball rolling. And it snowballed to the point where we now have 8 people facing criminal charges.
Any worries that there might be more deputies, involved in this organized crime?
Oh, I'm not worried at all. There's a strong possibility that there are other deputies involved. I think those deputies ought to be worried if they are involved. I do like to say that, and I mean it when I say it, the vast majority of my deputies, the overwhelmingly vast majority of my deputies, are just good first responders that want to do great. They want to have a great career serving the community. But we also know that in any profession, there's always a select few that have bad intentions and act on those bad intentions. And so I can tell you that just like these 3 have already paid for it with their career, and if I have it my way, we'll absolutely pay for it with their freedom. If there are other deputies involved, their best bet is to resign immediately versus me having to go find them and then placing them under arrest, which, again, I'm willing to do.
Algo así, usted dijo que hay 17 órdenes de arresto, entonces podemos esperar más arrestos de parte de...
No, son 17 cargos diferentes por estas 8 personas. Entonces, algunos de ellos tenían más que 2 cargos, entonces por eso hay 17 en total, pero ya hemos arrestado a las 8 personas responsables por esas 17 cargos.
¿Dónde usted cree que está la falla en el que permitan drogas o que haya drogas dentro de su casa?
Bueno, la falla está en que somos un sistema de personas, de seres humanos, que obviamente los seres humanos de vez en cuando cometen errores, y esos errores, si es algo inocente que se puede dejar ir, es algo que se deja, pero muchas veces si esos errores son algo que cruza la línea al criminal, entonces esas personas tienen que enfrentarse con cargos criminales, se tienen que arrestar. Es lo que nosotros estamos dispuestos para hacer a cualquier hora.
¿Qué es lo que sigue ahora? Ahora va a haber más seguridad en cuanto cómo ustedes revisan a sus...
Sí estamos haciendo ciertos cambios a nuestra póliza, a nuestros procesos. Estamos ahorita en comprar más herramientas para usar en eso. Y aunque no puedo decir exactamente qué son esas cosas, sí sé que estamos haciendo ciertas cosas diferentes. Mira, todo lo que hacemos nosotros es estar al tanto, no nomás en la cárcel, pero en todo lo que hacemos. Nosotros hacemos algo para prevenir algo lo que están haciendo los criminales. Ellos hacen algo más cambian sus métodos para que en cómo ellos hacen cosas, deshacen cosas. Luego nosotros tenemos que seguir incrementando lo que estamos haciendo para quedarnos al frente de lo que está pasando. Es lo que está pasando ahorita. Estas personas tuvieron éxito con pasar drogas a nuestra cárcel por hacer sus cosas de alguna manera. Ahora nosotros tenemos que hacer lo posible para bloquear eso, pero más que seguro que ellos van a cambiar lo que están haciendo ellos también. Pero por eso tenemos nuestros equipos especiales que siguen combatiendo estos problemas.
¿Por qué los dos oficiales no fueron arrestados? ¿Están posiblemente involucrados?
Bueno, son tres. Ahorita, aunque no tenemos suficiente evidencia para aplicar por un orden de arresto por estos tres, sí tenemos evidencia que ellos cometieron delitos o sea, infracciones de nuestras pólizas. Entonces, ya con eso nos da suficiente información